March. The doctor said that I had been sick for some time, and it's neither here nor there. I do have plans. By depression and anxiety, by continually counseling and having a psychiatrist. My medication was being prescribed by my family doctor, and from what I'm on now compared to what I was on is quite a bit difference. So I am, ever since that night, it still feels to me like yesterday. And the guilt and shame, I'm taking a step backwards like that. It's eating me alive. And if you ever see me in your courtroom again, you just lock me up, throw away the key. I don't deserve anything. And that's it.
Just give me 1 second, Mr. Midori, to set this back up. All right, 1 moment. I'll give you a second, Mr. Midori. It's okay. Would you like some water? Would that help? Okay. All right. Mr. Midori, you're here today for sentencing on an operating while intoxicated fifth offense. You need to consider your character, the need to protect the public, the gravity of the offense when I fashion a sentence that deals with rehabilitation, punishment, deterrence, or community safety. Mr. Midori, I always start all operating while intoxicated cases the same way, and that's with the gravity of the offense. And I don't think I need to tell you what I normally tell most people, because you said it right in the pre-sentence investigation when you said that when you went back out that afternoon to get another bottle or whatever, that you thought you were okay. I actually believe, and Mr. Midori, I understand that you have challenges in terms of not only alcohol, but in terms of mental health and things like that. But hear me when I say this. I don't believe that OWI is just a crime for alcoholics. I don't believe that OWI is just a crime for people who are having problems. I think OWI is a crime that just about everyone commits. Not that everyone does it, but that anyone can commit it, because the problem is not always necessarily the drinking, but it's that decision to turn the key of the car, push the button as we now do it today, and to operate the motor vehicle. Because I firmly believe that every single person who gets behind the wheel of an automobile while intoxicated believes that they are going to make it wherever they're going to go safely. I think they think they're going to get home safely or head to the store and come back safely or do whatever they were going to do. I think every single person thinks, you know what, it's going to be fine and I'm okay. But the problem is you're not. And clearly in this case, when you ran into the back of the other individual, you weren't okay. I mean, you weren't able to safely maintain a vehicle. The good news, and I understand what was said in the PSI in terms of the victim, yes. I apologize that I don't have that name directly in front of me. His car was quite damaged. He suffered a headache, but that's Mr. Rostro, excuse me. Mr. Rostro suffered a headache, suffered the damage of his vehicle, probably fear and a lot of inconvenience. But the blessing is, at least as far as I've been told, is that he doesn't suffer any continuing physical effects from this accident. And that's a blessing. That he wasn't gravely injured or killed. Because the difference, Mr. Midori, between what, as far as I know, Mr. Rostro has going on and a situation where an individual is hurt or killed is really never in the hands of the person driving drunk. It really has a lot to do with factors that are outside their control. And so in the state of Wisconsin, years and years ago, we decided that you may remember this era better than I. I was told of this era more by my parents than anything, but years ago, people used to joke about how they would cover one eye up so that they didn't see double when driving. My parents talked about this concept of they didn't make it home from the bar, which was just for lack of a better word, a way of saying that someone had driven home drunk and gotten into a car accident and died. Police officers were more likely to put you in the back of the squad and drive you home than they were to actually issue a ticket. And in the 1980s, we said, you know what, this isn't working, because it wasn't. People were dying all over our freeways and our highways and our back roads. And we said, you know what, we're going to create a system that kind of works on what I call a deterrence model, a model where the punishment keeps on getting worse and worse and worse. And the idea is hopefully the punishment gets so bad that the person does one of two things. One, either they reform their behavior because they just don't want to go through this anymore, or two, they end up, I think, kind of where you just said, which is, look, if I come back with another OWI, just lock me away because I can't control it. That's a hard thing to say, Mr. Midori, but you have the right exact idea. I mean, you're already at a fifth offense. It's a felony. Had this offense occurred after last fall, it would be a mandatory minimum sentence to prison under the new state guidelines. And there is mandatory minimums for 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th offenses, because that's what the idea becomes, is we can't help you maintain sobriety out in public. We're just going to lock you away to protect everyone else as long as we can. And that's a sad thing to say. I mean, it's not something that I take lightly as a judge, but it really becomes, that's really what we're thinking about. You have a really good work history. Your OWI history, I agree, is dated. This is not a situation where it's every 2 to 3 years. You went, according to my review of the PSI, between the time that you were last incarcerated on a non-OWI offense, I recognize that you've had some other issues in your life, but and this offense is over 8 years. Between the two OWIs, I think it's even longer than that. Now I got to go back to that date. I'm so sorry. Give me 1 second here. Yeah, it had been 15 years between your two OWIs. So I recognize in this that in sense of deterrence, if we look at your prior, it's 93, 95, 99, and I recognize one of them is a implied consent violation. Then 2003, we're talking about a span of about 10 years. You got your offenses and then have gone 15 years without getting another. So that shows me that you're not yet at that point where we just need to lock you away and keep you away for ever and ever, just to make sure that we're safe. I'm glad that in reading your ex-wife's comments, that you were able at least to start to create a new life in Wyoming. That might be a very good choice for you. I understand for people suffering from addictions that the old places, the old haunts, the old friends can always be a source of temptation and downfall for them. So, if you have the ability to press the reset button, it might not be a bad idea. You do have a good work history. What I'm going to do is, I've kind of thought, I do have one question. When were you arrested? You were in Wyoming when you were arrested?
It was December 5th.
5th, thank you. That's the date I was looking for. Give me 1 second.
So basically, he's got 139 days credit from then till today.
Yep,
and
exactly.
He's also got one other day from when he was originally arrested, so he's got 140.
Yeah, so you got 140 days credit. The difficult thing that I was trying to figure out, Mr. Midori, in your case is I recognize, even by the virtue that we're doing this, most everyone except you and I are virtually by video. We're in a COVID-19 health crisis. I recognize that I don't know when you'd get to the Wisconsin State Prison System. I don't. But the difficulty, I thought of many different things with that. The first thing I thought of is, okay, so do I give you jail and then put you on probation after that? But I have some concerns about probation transferring. I got some other concerns about going in that route. I also have concerns about the number of days that you've already served. The other thing is, I'm like I talked about in the beginning here, how it gets progressively worse. I am a person who agrees with that strategy. And so I look back and your last one was about 330 days. So I have that in the back of my head too. I don't think there'd be time, although I think you might benefit from the substance abuse program. I just, there's too many unknowns at this point. I think the extended supervision is going to provide for the supervision based on the credit and everything else going on. Here's what I'm going to order. I'm going to put you in the Wisconsin State Prison System for a period of 14 months. Okay. I'm going to give you extended supervision for a period of 4 years. Okay. I'm going to give you credit for the 140 days that you have already coming to you. I do have to revoke your driving privileges for a period of 3 years. Order an interlock device. However, I would indicate, and this is something that I'm not clear on, a law was passed, and I'm not sure about the dates at this point, but you would want to check with the Department of Transportation at some point after you're released. You may fall into the new category where you are lifetime revocation. So even though I'm revoking it for 3 years, it's quite possible that the Department of the Department of Transportation will indicate your lifetime revocation. There is the possibility after 10 years to apply to have that lifted. But just so you realize that even though there's this 3 year period, you may run into other issues with the Department of Corrections. I will make you eligible for the substance abuse program. I cannot make you eligible for challenge incarceration due to your age. I think you got to be under 35 at this point to be eligible for that. First, I'll look to the state. Is there anything I've missed or anything else I need to address?
Just the orders for the restitution and then I did forget to ask $70 for prosecution costs and the blood draw.
Okay, it's my understanding that all of those are step 2?
Yes, sir.
Okay, those will be, I'll sign those orders once they're submitted.
Okay, thank you.
Attorney Parisi. Oh, go ahead.
What was the extradition cost?
$3,225.
Yeah.
And is there a fine with it or just costs?
No, there is no, I did not issue a fine because I'm issuing a prison sentence.
Okay. And then you have to do the conditions of extended supervision.
Yep, I'll get that in 1 second. Let me ask Attorney Parisi. Anything further?
No, I don't believe so, Judge. Thank you.
Okay. The terms of extended supervision are going to be obey all the rules of your agent, no drugs, no alcohol, and do any counseling deemed appropriate. Okay? Unless anyone has anything else, anyone? Okay. Here's what we're going to do. To those on YouTube, this case is now ended. I'm going to stop the stream. Attorney Parisi, if you'd hang on, what I'm going to do is we do have the paperwork you do need to go through. I'll leave my computer with you, and I'll bring a pen too. Sorry, with you and Mr. Midori, so you can go through that. Okay.
Oh, how, those forms have a witness part. How does that get accomplished? You just don't?
We're just not witnessing them. No.
Okay. Yeah.
We're having them sign it.